It's late on Saturday night. Welcome to Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. We got an Atlantic hurricane season that suddenly woke up, and we got Hurricane Humberto spinning around out there tonight at a Category 5 status. Very strong, very crazy looking hurricane. Not really expected to impact land much. Bermuda's in a bit of a danger there, maybe. And then we have a secondary storm, which is tropical storm number 9, but it could turn into Hurricane Imelda. Now, I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of predictions on this because I think, into next week, there's a little bit of uncertainty on what exactly is going to happen, but I'll show you what the general consensus is nonetheless, and I'll give you some satellite images tonight, tell you a little bit about these wicked looking storms out there. Please share, subscribe, become a channel member. Let's go.
There it is.
This is bad news.
My God.
Right now.
Anything could happen.
Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. They drive up in this.
Here's what our beautiful looking storms look like on satellite tonight. You can see Humberto here, this big guy, really solid defined eye in the middle, churning, angry looking storm. Then you have crossing, over Cuba more or less, this conglomeration that is tropical storm number 9. It could gain some hurricane status this week. Let's have a look, couple different satellite peeks at it. Here we have upper level water vapor satellite image. You can see where all the vapor is in the upper level throughout the Atlantic basin. Here we have the lower level water vapor scan showing again the hurricane with a very clear defined eye, Category 5 storm. Here's a shortwave infrared view that we have tonight. Again, you can see the eye clearly defined. Can't show you the visible blue or red because unfortunately it's nighttime there. There's nothing to see. It's dark. Here's Tropical Storm 9 as it was developing. You can see all the lightning activity around Cuba, Hispaniola. Okay, here's the ultimate. Here's the craziest. You can see the eye clearly defined. If you're in the middle of that tonight, you'd be looking up and you would see the stars. This was taken today, of course, before nightfall. So that is a real image, more or less, of what you're seeing. You can see the cloud bands convecting on the outer side of it. So you can see here all these outer bands, big convecting, making thunderstorms. You can see them popping up and around. You can see how the backside of us here, most aggressive, most intense, this sort of quadrant in here. Very, very scary looking storm, very wild looking, unbelievable, so beautiful. Let's find some details on this one now and talk about it for a little while. But before we talk about that, we had our own major storm hit up the coast. Nothing quite as insane as Humberto, but it sure made for some windy and rainy conditions in some of the interior. Definitely the coast got pounded hard. What a beautiful, that's called a mid-latitude cyclone. That's on a tropical cyclone. It's a different kind of cyclone where you can see the outer band is the warm and moist air feeding in and around. You have the cool, dry air, and they're mixing together and wrapping in, making it's called a cyclone because of the cyclonic motion, a mid-latitude cyclone. We can talk about that more. I have many times on the channel, actually. You could probably look up more videos here if you want on what a mid-latitude cyclone is. So on the board tonight, Humberto, Category 5 storm, and then we have Tropical Depression 9 that could turn into Hurricane Imelda this week. And I'll give you a couple forecast tracks for both of them. But let's talk about Humberto first because we've been on the topic of it. And it helps us understand what's going to happen here. So here's Humberto. It's going to most likely narrowly miss Bermuda. It's going to take a hard turn to the northeast and make its way out to sea. So sometime on Tuesday, we're expecting to see it make a change. And when it does, it's going to pull that tropical depression number 9 with it, and they're both going to go somehow out. Some models do show number 9 coming back into South Carolina. Some show it remaining a tropical depression, or a tropical storm, I should say, and some show it becoming up to a Category 3 storm. So it really depends on which subtle direction it takes and how long it meanders out here as this is tugging it and it's trying to make up its mind where it's going to go. So as you can see, there's a bit of a slowdown where it takes its sort of time to make that turn, and that'll have a lot of impact how this behaves on how this number 9 is going to behave. Humberto remains a large, powerful hurricane this evening with a spectacular satellite presentation, a clear 19C symmetric 25 nautical mile wide eye that's surrounded by a white ring of very cold minus 73 cloud tops. Crazy. The most intense deep convection associated with the eye wall appears to be just east of the surface center, where minus 78 Celsius tops are discernible. So the clouds are growing so tall that they're getting up to an area where it's minus 78. Impressive ventilation aloft is provided by dual outflow channels located over the north semicircle of the cyclone. The latest subjective Dvorak data T numbers from TAFB and SAB and the various blah, 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 estimates that it's holding its initial intensity at 140 knots. So it could undergo inner core structural changes, which will likely cause intensity fluctuations during the next 12 to 24 hours. It could get a little bit weaker, then it might grow stronger again, then it might get weaker again. It might do some different things like that. The hint of concentric outer ring development is showing, which is indicating up to 78% chance of another ERC event. Afterwards, the statistical and skilled consensus intensity models point towards a gradual weakening trend beginning around Monday. So it's not going to stay major hurricane for that much longer. And it's going to stay out to sea. It's going to be what we call a fish storm. By the 60-hour period, it should continue moving around the southwestern periphery of a mid-tropospheric ridge located to the northeast of the cyclone and east of Bermuda. By Tuesday night, it'll turn north-northeastward because of this, while the ridge mentioned above weakens and shifts eastward. By mid-next week, it should turn quickly toward the northeast to east-northeast in response to a major shortwave upper-level trough amplifying and moving out to the Canadian Maritimes. So they're good. Rain's a bit of a spread on where we think it's going to go by day 14, or day 4, which is typically seen when tropical cyclones move within the mid-latitude westerly. So it's moving north enough at some point that it's going to be caught by the westerly winds. The one that is some concern to the United States, to South Carolina and whatnot, is Tropical Depression 9, which is expected to strengthen and bring tropical storm conditions to portions of central and northwestern Bahamas through Sunday night. Tropical storm conditions are possible along portions of the east coast of central Florida beginning Monday, where a tropical storm watch is in effect. Rainfall will continue to impact Cuba and the Bahamas through the weekend, which will likely produce flash flooding, maybe urban flooding, mudslides, maybe in a higher terrain. Significant threat there of heavy rain early next week from portions of the east coast of Florida northward into the Carolinas, which would cause flash flooding, river flooding, and things like this. The depression is expected to be at or near hurricane intensity when it's closest to southeast U.S. coast early next week. Although there's a risk of storm surge and wind impacts, it's too soon to specify exact locations and magnitude of these impacts. So it's a developing story, and we're not sure exactly what's going to happen yet. But one thing I think we should be prepared for our friends down there is the risk of flash flooding because of rainfall, where even if the hurricane doesn't come ashore, the rainfall that it might encourage in the area will be enough to cause flash flooding and major thunderstorms possible. So here's our Hurricane Humberto tonight, heading off to sea. Here's our hurricane number 9, and then we'll just give you a couple examples here of different forecast tracks that people are talking about. So here's one track where it becomes a minor hurricane, maybe on Monday, something to that effect, and then turns hard out to sea. And then if you look at the UK model, it has it going maybe even earlier and not achieving hurricane status. And then ECMWF still has it getting to maybe category 2 status and possible as a tropical storm or extratropical storm slam into North Carolina or something like that a little bit. So that's a ways off. Well, I hope that helped you understand just a little bit more about that hurricane. As you wake up today, have a coffee, maybe buy me a coffee here on the channel too. I'd appreciate that. Been trying to do my best to keep the views up around here and keep productive as much as I can. So all the help's appreciated. It's a lot of work keeping a channel going, my friends. It's a lot of work. Okay, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye now.